So a few weeks ago, we made a Dansk Mod Viking Blod clone, and today we're going to do part 2, which is the racking and finishing. Hi, I'm Brian.
I'm Derica, and you're watching City Steading. To learn to grow and brew and to take control of your food, hit subscribe now. And don't forget to click that bell icon so YouTube will notify you when we have something new to share. We're back with our Dansk Mod Viking Blod clone.
Which is totally different than my Viking Blod, which isn't really my Viking Blod. Different recipes altogether. The other one is a cherry mead. This is actually a hibiscus hopped mead, okay? It's also something else with an ED on the end too that I'll get to eventually, so stay tuned. But first what we want to do is we're going to rack this off, take a measurement on it, and we're going to have a little sip, just to see where it's at right now, find out how it tastes. So let's get set up for that.
Because we're going to do some additions, we're actually going to rack into our racking pitcher. You've probably seen this before in many other videos.
Pitcher. Notice you put it about halfway down, got the siphon going, and let it rip. This may take a little while. We'll see you soon. Okay, so we have our racked mead, and what I'm going to do now is a little bit of degassing using a silicone spoon. If you use metal in a plastic pitcher, you scratch it, bacteria forms, bad things, not good. Now, I'm not going to go too crazy with the degassing. I never really do, to be honest, except when I'm getting ready to bottle, because I still kind of like to have a little bit of a blanket. And I still have some stuff to do to this. I just want to get most of the bad tasting gases out before we have a taste. Alright, so that's as much as I want to do. We're going to just throw that back in the thing. Let me get out my measuring equipment, which consists of the graduated cylinder, turkey baster, and a hydrometer. And this one started at 1.112. Let's see how far it went. We also used EC1118 champagne yeast. You'll understand why soon, too. So it looks like it came to 1038. It's a little bit on the high side for a finished gravity for me. But I'm okay with that in this case. And more on that in a little while. That's about 11.1% ABV. So at this point, this is not really Viking Blod yet. But what it's going to be is a hibiscus mead, which means it's worth a taste just to find out a little bit more about it. I'm going to pour this back in, but I'm going to be careful about it. Didn't even hear anything. Put that back in there. I'll give it a little smell. It's kind of neat. It's florally, citrusy.
Yeah.
Definitely, I mean, the hibiscus is strong with this one, which I think it should be.
I actually like hibiscus tea. I make my own hibiscus ginger tea blend. It's one of my favorites.
I would drink this right now, as is.
Alrighty, let's see what it tastes like.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But wow, that's good. That you can stop right here, bottle this, and be very happy. It's sweet, but it doesn't have a 1038 sweetness. It's really not. It's not sickly sweet at all. I think the tartness of the hibiscus is mitigated by that sweetness. I think those guys at Dansk Mod are onto something here.
That's really nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. I would. We can just shut this off right now.
Cheers.
But we're not going to.
But wait, there's more.
I can always make this again. What I'm going to do at this point is two things. Dansk Mod Viking Blod is known for two things. One of them is being hopped. We are going to add 0.3 ounces of Cascade hop pellets to this. I'm not going to do that yet. First, I'm going to do the thing that I've been hinting at for about a year. This is a fortified mead. Plain and simple. They add neutral spirits to it. They said it in a video, which brings up an interesting thing for me. Does that make it really a mead anymore? Yes and no. To me, it's not a pure mead. Okay, I'll be honest there. It's not a pure mead. Does that make it bad? No, it just makes it a different product. Because technically a melomel isn't a pure mead either, sort of. To me, though, by adding alcohol to this, I know why they do it. It's to kill off fermentation so that it doesn't go any further, and they backsweeten the heck out of this. This stuff comes out super sweet to the point that some people think it's too sweet. They also get a higher ABV than most meads can actually achieve. Usually it's between 18 and 21%, something like that. I'm shooting for about 20%. Okay, so since this is full to this amount, I'm a little concerned because I have to add more liquids, more honey, things like that to this. So being that we like it as is, we're going to put some in a bottle, which is probably not going to last more than a day or two. So I'm not worried about the whole, getting oxygen in there and all that sort of thing. I, however, don't want that much sanitizer water. So we're just going to do this. If you could hold that for me, I will just hold the bottle. This is not the way to bottle, just so you know. I can't even do this sort of carefully. Alright, so since we poured out about 750 ml of this, I know that I have about 95 or so ounces still left. So using that 95 ounces, I can calculate how much I need to add of the neutral spirit to make this into about 20%. The neutral spirit of choice today is Everclear. Now, I'm in Florida, so the most I can get is the 151 stuff. If you're somewhere, other places, you can get like the, what is it, like 190 or something? Like, it's crazy. But anyway, 151 is fine. If you can't find Everclear, it's perfectly fine to use vodka. I wouldn't use anything flavored, like rum has too much flavor, but vodka, really good. Everclear is essentially the same thing, so I'm going to use that. Now, I did a little bit of calculation while we were off screen, and I'm trying to get this to 20%. Why 20? It's a nice round number. Dansk Mod used 18. I want more than that. So why not? So what I'm going to do is put in about 2 cups, okay, 16 ounces, which is about half a liter if you're on the metric system. And that's going to be most of this bottle. As you can see, we used most of a bottle. So this might not be the cheapest brew you ever make because, got to pay for that. But we have about half a liter. I'm just going to pour it in and spill it all over the place, apparently. Wouldn't be a City Steading episode if I didn't spill something. Alright, so I'm just going to mix that through. And really, I'm just trying to meld it together. This will age in secondary and get all those extra flavors in there. And next, we need to back sweeten this again. Because right now, it's going to be semi-sweet, but not super sweet. But we just added a lot of alcohol to it. So it's going to have a different bite. It's going to be very alcoholic. It's going to be like rocket fuel. So what we want to do is grab a bottle of honey. And I'm going to eyeball the honey that we have. The exact amount that you put in isn't all super critical. I'm guessing... Oh, you know what? I don't have to eyeball it. I'll be right back. By the way, if you're wondering how I calculated the approximate alcohol percentage, it's really, really simple. I calculated that I had about 95 ounces of the must at this point, right? Well, it's actually mead. Anyway, I had 95 ounces of mead. 95 ounces times 11.1% gives me a number. I forget what the number is now. And then I used 16 ounces of Everclear at 75%. It's actually 75.5%. Add those two sums together, divide it by the total, which would have been 111. And that gives you how much alcohol you have overall, which in this case comes to about 21%, give or take. I'm going to add some honey in there, so it's actually going to dilute it slightly to about 19 to 20%. How much honey? Well, we know that every pound adds 35 points. So it's already at 1038. If I add another pound, that's 1070. That's going to be kind of sweet, but at 20%, I think that's about right. That sounds about what I remember Viking Blod tasting like. We're actually, for the tasting of this, going to get...
Do you have it on the right measurement?
Of course not. When we do the tasting of this in a few weeks, or months even, we are going to have some of the Dansk Mod so that we can do a side-by-side tasting and see just how close we got. This is probably going to take a little while. For those curious, this is Sweet Squeeze Florida honey. It is organic, it's orange blossom honey. Link below in the description if you wanted to get some. So now we have our honey in, and it's all at the bottom. So I'm going to mix this through. It's going to take a while. Now for those of you that are questioning, why would they fortify it? Well, for a couple of reasons. They want it to be sweet, okay? That's the intent, and that's the recipe, and that's the way they do it. And in order to get it to be that sweet, you pretty much have to stop fermentation at some point, okay? So they add alcohol to it to put it past the tolerance of their yeast, which in our case, the yeast is like an 18%. So I'm putting it to about 21 to make sure I'm past the tolerance of that yeast. That's the other reason why I went to 21. It's not really to outdo Dansk Blod in any way. They make great product, so, you know, and they've been doing it for quite some time. But by doing that, they can stop fermentation without having to worry about pasteurization, without having to add chemicals, things like that. So I actually give them a lot of credit for stopping fermentation using that method, because a lot of other places, they'll just add potassium metabisulfite, they'll add potassium sorbate, things like that. I don't like to use those things, as we've said in the past. I applaud companies that don't, because they don't. I think that's pretty awesome. Which is probably why I'm replicating one of their recipes rather than some others. Just saying. Alright, that is mixed through. I'm so tempted to taste it again. Yeah, I want to taste it again. Ooh, it smells good. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really good. It's stronger. You can tell there's more alcohol there, but the sweetness level is there. It's good. Now, the last thing that we need to add to this, I'm very tempted to do it in the jar, but as I understand, when you dry hop, you know the Mentos and Diet Coke thing? Yeah, we don't really want that to happen. I'm hoping there's enough free room in this pitcher. We're going to find out.
Why don't you just put a couple in and...
I'll just pour it slowly. I'm using 0.3 ounces, which is about 9 grams of Cascade pellet hops. Well, that was rather anticlimactic.
It's foaming a little bit, but not...
It was already foaming, though. Whatever. All right. Now, because it is foaming, I know there's some gases coming out. Can you take that, please? I'm not real concerned about how this gets into here. I'm going to pour it in. We're going to use a big funnel, which I think we have one over there, the black one. So I'm going to be degassing it slightly as I put it in here. But I'm also, I know this is going to fill like really close to the top. So we're just going to be very careful. And we're going to hold this just to the side a bit. Like that. You got the funnel? Mm-hmm. Remember what I said about being careful? I'm careful-ish. Somebody's not going to like this. Honestly, I don't. But you know what? It's a lot of trouble to get that other thing out, and I'm afraid the hops pellets might not get in. I probably should have put the hops in the bottle afterwards. So because I didn't, that's why I'm doing it this way.
So learn from
my mistake. But, in my defense, since I know I didn't degas this fully, I'm fairly confident that we don't have much to worry about here. Okay, now I'm looking at this going, well, that's a little bit more headroom than I'd really like it to have.
Well, it started to go into the...
Yeah, well, we have that bottle that we filled earlier. We could just pour a little bit in there. Okay. What do you think? So keep the funnel. So here's our bottle of hibiscus mead from earlier that I'm just going to pour a little bit in. Not too much. Just to get it up past the shoulders of the bottle. That way we have a little bit less... see right there, that's perfect. It was like a third of the bottle. There's still plenty for dinner. Now I am seeing a whole lot of nucleation going on in there. That's pretty funny. What I mean by that is there's tiny, tiny little bubbles going up the sides here. That's degassing. That's exactly what it is. So I was right. Basically all that CO2 that is trapped in here is starting to come out. So now we're going to put an airlock on it. That way it'll come out, but nothing else gets back in. Okay, so we added our airlock so that it keeps those gases inside and keeps anything else from coming back in. This is going to sit for... you could probably do a couple of weeks. Because it's dry hopped, I don't want to go longer than, say, 2 weeks. The others have. I'm going to say in 2 weeks we will test this again, and maybe you'll see a video on that, or maybe we'll test it in 2 weeks and then it'll go a little bit longer and then we'll test it again and you'll see the video with both of those things in it. I don't want to just keep making like little 30-second videos for you, but we will keep you posted on this, let you know how it's doing. As always, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.